Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alan and this is my life in Taiwan. A life in Taiwan that began 13 or 14 years ago on March 18th, 2008. And I think it's fair to say that I knew very little about this country's cultures and customs, but over the past 13 or 14 years, I have learned a lot about the different do's and don'ts of what foreigners can do in this country. So in this video, I'm going to give you 25 things that you shouldn't do in this wonderful country of Taiwan, alternatively known as the heart of Asia. Number 1, do not litter. Now I know that's obvious for every country around the world, but Taiwan seems especially sensitive to any kind of littering, and a couple of foreigners have gotten themselves in trouble even when throwing old fruit skins or bamboo chopsticks into a local bush. So be very careful with your litter, and lots of people will tell you there are no trash cans in Taiwan, but look at this, 4 trash cans, no excuses, always use one. Cultural no-go number 2, don't jaywalk. It may or may not be illegal here, but just don't do it. Not only will you be taking your life in your hands by crossing at an undesignated crossing, but you'll also stand out like a sore thumb and just add to the stereotype that all foreigners here don't respect the rules or the culture.
Dude, don't jaywalk.
Thank you. Instead of jaywalking, you should definitely be using one of the pelican crossings, such as the one you can see behind me, and wait for the green man to come, which many Taiwanese people will be very proud to tell you was invented here. He starts walking and he starts to speed up as the timer counts down. Even when the green man comes, you shouldn't cross without looking both ways, because here in Taiwan, you never know when a random Ai or Agong is going to come scooting the wrong way down the road. And while we're on the subject of traffic, never under any circumstances road rage here in Taiwan. Whether on your scooter, as a pedestrian, or in the car, because not only is it stupid anywhere in the world, you'll be surprised at the levels of retaliation a Taiwanese person will go to if you cause them to lose face on the road. In fact, insulting anybody in public is a big no-no here in Taiwan. So whether you flip someone off, curse at them, or just tell them you think that they are stupid, if they can prove that you caused them to lose face in front of other people, then you're in for a letter from a prosecutor, a trip to court, and possibly a big fine. When traveling on an escalator, always keep to the right unless you're walking up the left-hand side. This is especially true in Taipei, as it is, in fact, in many other Western countries. Just another sign of simple, common courtesy to others. 很骄傲吗? Okay, and while we're on the MRT, there are some very specific MRT do's and don'ts. The first of which in Taiwan, never eat or drink on the underground or the Jieyun.
像是台北捷运车厢就明显规定说绝对不能吃东西。
Just considered bad manners to those around you. Also, on every MRT, there are seats for the elderly and infirm. Do not sit in those seats under any circumstances. Unless you're filming a YouTube video telling people not to sit in them. And as these seats are made for the elderly, it brings me on to my next point. Never talk bad about elderly people, about their driving, about the way they do anything. Elderly people in Taiwan are treated like gods, and as such, we respect them and don't talk bad about them. This is our stop. Okay, as the next few cultural faux pas, things not to do here in Taiwan, involve food. I've brought you for lunch, and a couple of them revolve around chopsticks. First of all, do not use your chopsticks to point to somebody. And second of all, definitely never leave your chopsticks standing up in a bowl of rice, and certainly don't pray. I'm just demonstrating what not to do, but my friend here is, even though she knows I'm kidding, is incredibly offended because it represents the joss sticks that they use for worship at the temple. Another thing not to do when it comes to food is not to assume that just because Taiwanese culture is so related to Chinese culture, that the food will be the same as the Chinese food you eat back home. Chicken sweet and sour is not a popular food here in Taiwan, and in fact most of the Chinese style foods eaten by Westerners would be considered Cantonese as opposed to Taiwanese. Taiwan has had enough time to develop its own take on Chinese foods, so don't expect the Chinese food that you eat here to match what you would eat back home. And another faux pas in Taiwan is insisting to pay the bill when you've been invited somewhere by somebody. Maybe you can offer to pay once or twice, but if somebody has invited you for dinner and they insist to pay, you're going to make it very awkward. So, do I pay or you pay?
I pay.
No, I will pay.
No, I pay.
No, let me pay.
Please.
Okay, you pay. And after paying the bill, that brings me to another couple of customs regarding money. First of all, tipping is not really common here in Taiwan and can cause offense if you tip at the wrong place. I remember I tried to tip a young worker in a family breakfast shop and they were pretty offended, although other industries do have some tipping, especially when it comes to the special KTVs. I'm sure that's where the girls earn most of their money. Also, when giving money, you shouldn't give it with one hand flippantly. You should always give money with two hands. I guess that's kind of showing respect to the person you're giving it to, as well as showing respect to the money, which deserves respect here in Taiwan. And another thing about giving and receiving with two hands is when receiving or giving a business card, around which there is a very important culture here in Taiwan, you should always give a business card with two hands, and when receiving one, inspect the information on it diligently, pay attention to it, show it some respect, and then certainly don't put that business card in your arse pocket of your pants. Take some time, open your wallet, put it in a special place, and show the person and the business card the respect that it deserves. Final point on money, which is quite interesting. They really don't like you asking about their salary or how much money they have, but they don't seem to mind asking foreigners how much we earn. So again, probably best not to ask somebody how much they earn, unless you're maybe a close friend or it's of particular importance to the subject that you're talking about. So another kind of cute cultural mistake you shouldn't be making here in Taiwan is when somebody gives you a gift.
Happy birthday, Alan!
Oh, thanks!
Wow!
You shouldn't open it until you're either out of their company or back in the comforts of your own home. And I think that's just to save any embarrassment if you try to act that you like the gift too much or you don't like it. It's just best open the gift when you're at home, send a message saying thanks after you've seen it. For the next few points I'm going to make, I'm going to focus a little more on more cultural aspects of things and mistakes that you can make. One of which I tried to highlight when ordering my bubble milk tea, which is don't bow to everybody. It's not like you see in the movies where all Asian people like to bow. And I did this when I gave the girl the money. I bowed quite deeply and she kind of laughed. I'm not sure if it showed up on camera, but usually a small head nod is enough, or no greeting at all is necessary. In Taiwanese and Asian culture, the deeper the bow, the more you are submitting or apologizing for something. So you will see celebrities that go through scandals or shames that have to come out and do the full 90-degree bow. Possibly I will have to do it in future if I go through some scandal. But yeah, don't always think what you see in the movies is true. It's not really a bowing culture. There's more of a head nod is usually enough. Another thing you should never do here in Taiwan is assume that the weather will not change. You can wake up to the most beautiful sunny blue sky day, make your way to work all nice and happy, positive in this beautiful sunny country, and then on your way home, the heavens open, everything gets wet, you don't have your rain clothes, and the world falls apart, all because of Taiwan's unstable weather. Another big cultural faux pas you can make is referring to Taiwanese people as Chinese people. This is a big no-no for many cultural, political reasons, and it's often made as an innocent mistake by foreigners when just talking about Chinese-speaking people. Just like American people speak English, but they are American, not English. Don't get the language confused with the culture of people. Back on the MRT for the final point, and that is not to assume that Taiwanese people don't understand English just because you don't hear them speaking out a lot. a lot of Taiwanese people's listening skills is much better than their speaking skills. So I know it's probably best not to talk about anybody when you're in their company and not to gossip, but just be careful when you're surrounded by Taiwanese people in case you say something a little bit offensive, either directly to them or about their culture. It's always going to get you into trouble. In fact, to end the video, I've got a funny story about a South African friend who was up in Taipei and he commented on a girl's rather large assets, shall we say, and to which this Taiwanese girl turned around to him and in perfect Afrikaans replied, "Buy a donkey," which means thanks very much, thanks for the compliment. So just because you think somebody doesn't speak the language, it can get you into trouble. That's enough for this video. I think I'm going to say goodbye and invite you to comment down below with anything you think that I missed or anything you agree or disagree with. As always, the comment section is there for you guys to get involved with the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Time to say goodbye. So as for now and as always, I'll see you next time in My Life in Taiwan. Peace. Bye-bye.